Labor standards aren't just numbers created on a whim by your boss. They're the blueprint for how work is done. But where do those numbers come from, and why do they matter so much at your job? Welcome to this Supply Chain Pros video, where today we will be reviewing the two-part purpose of labor standards and how you can create them. Labor standards are mathematical and objective markers that are intended to provide guidance on the rate at which a task is completed at the workplace. Labor standards are usually created through observation of a process. This process can be physical, where someone is standing there watching and conducting a time study of all the steps to the process and recording the time of each step to get the total time of the cycle. Then multiple cycles are observed to determine an average based on the data. A second way of creating labor standards is to take large amounts of historical data and average it to create reliable and consistent data points based on the past performance. Both of these techniques have their pros and cons, however, both are valid and can yield quality labor standards. Let's build a labor standard to tying your shoes. Starting the clock and notating the time. Step 1 is to obtain each lace in a hand. Step 2 is to cross both laces and pull tight. Step 3 is to grab one lace and create a loop. Step 4 is to wrap the other lace around the loop. And step 5 is to grab both loops and pull tight. You can see that these 5 steps all have an amount of time associated with each of them, and putting all 5 of these steps together equals the total amount of time needed to tie your shoe, which was 12 seconds according to the time study. This time can now be applied to future shoe tying activities, allowing for an estimate of how long it will take in the future, as well as providing performance feedback to someone who has just completed tying their shoe compared to this time-studied standard. We will expand on these 2 different types of uses for this labor standard. The first is using a labor standard as a predictive tool. Continuing to use our shoe tying labor standard, if you worked at a preschool and there were 100 children needing help to tie their shoes before going to recess, we can apply our time study data to predict how long it would take a single preschool leading adult to tie the shoes of these 100 children. Each child having 2 pairs of shoes would mean that 200 total pairs of shoes would need to be tied. Using our time study data and labor standard that we created from before, knowing that each shoe takes 12 seconds to tie, you multiply this by the 200 shoes, and you get 2,400 seconds. Convert this to minutes by dividing it by 60 seconds, and the total time needed for one preschool leader to tie 100 students' shoes is 40 minutes. This is not including the time spent transitioning from one student to the next student, and this additional step would add additional time into the cycle and process. You can use this information now to determine if this amount of time is appropriate for you to prepare your preschoolers to go to recess. 40 minutes is not a reasonable amount of prep time to tie shoes for recess. If you added a second adult to this process, you would cut it in half, as each adult would be able to complete 100 shoes for 50 students each if they both were meeting the expected labor standard. This means it would take 20 minutes to complete all shoe tying activities. Further increasing the amount of adult leaders to 4 reduces the actual time needed. 2,400 seconds divided by 4 adult leaders equals 600 seconds for each leader. Take those 600 seconds divided by 60 minutes in a second equals 10 minutes total. This sounds a little more reasonable to prepare 100 students for recess using 4 adult leaders to tie shoes. Let's bring this example into a supply chain environment. Let's say that you work in a case-picking department with 9 other employees. If the historical average rate for picking cases is 100 cases per hour, you can multiply your 100 cases times 8 hours in a day to get 800 cases per person per shift as the expected rate per day. Multiply this 800 by the 10 total employees in the department, and this team can realistically expect to pick 8,000 cases in a shift. If you have a large influx of volume come through and you need to pick 70,000 cases in the next 5 days, you can use this labor planning standard to determine if you will meet your operational goal. Divide the 70,000 cases by the 8,000 cases per shift, which equals 8.75 shifts. And this team is unlikely to meet a 70,000 case goal in the next 5 days, working the standard 8-hour shifts. See another video on the channel titled Labor Planning, linked in the description for more information on what to do next in this scenario. The second purpose of labor standards is to provide feedback to an employee regarding their past performance. Using the case-picking example from before, if a veteran employee is performing at 65 cases picked per hour when the team average and goal is 100 cases per hour, that veteran employee has opportunities for improvement. That veteran employee and his supervisor should work together to determine some of the things holding this employee back from achieving the standard goal of 100 cases per hour. There could be a training deficiency or a technique opportunity, or this employee may simply not be moving at the appropriate pace to do the job. Remember, every employee at a business must provide some sort of value to the company, whether that is bringing in revenue into the company or retaining earnings by preventing financial loss. If employees are working below expected rates, there is a good chance that the company is losing money on that employee's presence on the job. See the Purpose of Business video on the channel linked in the description below for more information on this scenario. This feedback performance can be very beneficial to both management and the employee whose performance is being reviewed if both parties are participating in good faith. If either party is participating with the wrong motivations, there will just be hurt feelings, tension, and conflict between leadership and the employee. Labor standards can range from very general and simplified for a process in a department to very specific and exact for each portion of a task, depending on the amount of time invested by leadership. Fully implemented and successful labor standards allow business leaders to have a very deep understanding of their business by allowing data to tell them the physical reality through reporting. Business leaders can make financial and personnel decisions based on if they are performing well in a segment of their business or poorly, and more attention is needed on a particular subject. Labor standards also provide feedback to the employees that they are held against. If an employee is working at 70% of the standard, they understand they have room for improvement at their job and should take measures to improve. If an employee finds himself working at 120% productivity when compared to the standard, they receive the feedback that they are a high caliber performing employee and the company is grateful for their high performance. As you can see, labor standards provide both objective data and subjective personnel feedback at the workplace. The only real downside of labor standards is the necessary time spent to compile the time study data. Do you have labor standards at your job? If so, explain what you think of them in the comments below. If you found value in the content of this video, like and subscribe to the channel. This is your Supply Chain Pro, out.